Well, today we're gonna try to glass bed a gun with a synthetic stock. I have no idea how this is gonna go. This is what we're gonna use. You can do like a synthetic stock, but you gotta make sure that this stuff adheres to it. I got a Dremel tool because I can't use a chisel, so I picked up a Dremel tool. So this is what we're gonna try to bed. It's going to be the recoil lug, which is just this little area right here, and then this piece right back here. This is the only two places on the gun, or on this stock, that the gun touches. It's not going to take that much. We're going to have to grind a bunch out of here with the Dremel tool, and then up here, we're going to have to score it, like they said, on this stuff here. That way it sticks to this polypropylene. Is that what it is? Some kind of plastic. So it sticks to the plastic. So we're gonna have to, that's what the Dremel's for. We'll go in there and slice and dice and make a bunch of notches. So here's what's in this thing right here. These are probably just mixing cups. It's a Wheeler Engineering. Got this from Midway, USA. Clay. This is the release agent. Some resin and the hardener. So this here is some filler. Got a little swab, some mixers, some stirrers. And then, yeah, more of the same. Little scooper. This here is probably color dye. I'm guessing it's black. Also, the only other thing that we're going to do while we're in here is the barrel does touch this. So we're going to clear this area out from here, just this edge, and then off this bottom down here. That way, the barrel won't be touching anything. This barrel was resting on here so much that it was probably, I mean, I bet I took out a 16th, if not more than that. It was about up here. All right, now, and at this point, my audio got messed up, but it's, you can still hear it, but it's just horrible, and I don't want you guys to have to sit through that because there's a lot of hiss. I accidentally bumped the -10 decibel switch on the microphone, so it's gonna look like a reaction video to my own video, but whatever, here it goes. Right here, basically this is what it looked like whenever I was done shaving off the sides, and that front piece right there, that barrel was resting on that so much that all that screw on the bottom was doing was just tightening. I'm hearing myself talk here, and all it was doing was putting pressure on the barrel. So I mean, that fluctuated just along with the heat and everything else. So taking that out, clearing the sides off, perfect. Now these are the pieces here that contact the stock. So this is what we're gonna focus on whenever we glass bed it. Now Ben's putting holes in there. You have to do that. You got to put holes. We put like 4 holes. It's on the other side that he was on right there. We put 4 holes on there and some marks. That way that epoxy will stick on that polypropylene, because they say that stuff isn't very good for anything to stick to it, that kind of plastic. We use Play-Doh because they said Play-Doh works well. I would suggest not using Play-Doh because we had a blowout. The epoxy, or the clay, is a lot harder, and it still would have blown out because we put too much epoxy in it. So all we did was mix 1-to-1 with the epoxy, and of course I ended up putting the wrong dye in it at first. I put that's the brown dye, and then I realized I messed up. So it comes with brown and black dye. So I put the black dye in, and then all I can say is just, you don't want to go too much with the epoxy, but at the same time you sure don't want to be too shy. So back in the tang area, we drilled like a horseshoe shape around that tang area to fill that in, and then of course we filled this area in around the recoil lug. But you'll see here I decided to put some tape on there because I was afraid of it spewing out over. And release agent is very important. Just put as much of that on there as you can, and if there's like another substitute for that, if you don't have enough that comes with a kit, find it and just, you know, really throw that stuff on there. Now see right inside the action where it's spewing out right there behind Ben's hand, behind his left hand. we put too much in there. It comes with that tubing there to tighten up. So we put all the bolts in. We made sure we put a lot of release agent on those bolts, and throughout the night we gave them a turn or two back and then back in or whatever, just to keep them moving. And it's a good thing we did that, because at the end of the night we could hardly get the one to turn. So here I am trying to clean as much epoxy out of there as I could, and I know it looks bad. This is my first time. I've never done this before, so it doesn't really matter. Your comments won't hurt my feelings. Like I said, I'm just putting this on here to show you guys what I've learned not to do, or to do to make it easier. So there it sits. We cleaned it all out and decided to cook chicken wings because it was taking way too long. It was like 60 degrees outside. It was taking a while for it to set up. So we took the gun inside and just let it sit there overnight. The next morning, we backed the screws out. Like I said, we turned these the night before, and that one was almost, I mean, it was everything we could do to get it to turn. So needless to say, now Ben's explaining to my brother Michael what the whole floating means to the barrel and the barrel harmonics and whatnot, why it's important to keep anything from touching that barrel. So we tried peeling it off, and Ben tried, he couldn't get it. I tried, I couldn't get it. So we got the old rubber mallet out, and basically it was on there tight, but we got it. And so yeah, the release agent's very important. Put as much on there as you can. We're all just kind of amazed that it came apart and relieved, just looking at how it turned out, really, which it did turn out really nice. There was only one little spot forward of the recoil lug where I wish it would have stuck a little better, but a little flake came out. You can see how dirty this gun is. But it knocks right off, so it's not a big deal. Right there you can see, if I paused it, or if you paused it, you can see right there where my finger is. We filled all that up. That was all hollow. We filled that up, and then back in the tang area there, like I said, we chiseled like a big horseshoe moat deal out and filled that all up. I didn't want to change the height for that, so I didn't want to take the entire back tang area down. I just wanted to do parts of it. So it turned out really nice. Now, next we put the Timney Trigger on, and of course later on we put that Witt machine muzzle brake on. It's the same exact thing that I put on my 300 Win Mag. A little something about the trigger is that little screw right there, the spring rests on that screw. So you got to make sure you put that in there and whatnot. Whenever we first got it, I didn't know where it went. But then of course you can adjust that, and that'll push the spring tighter or looser, and you know, backing it out will screw the screw deeper, therefore decreasing the tension. So very, very simple. Two parts to this, just the sear, the trigger, 2 pins. Threw the pins in, and that was it. That's very simple. Now on the Ruger M77s and whatever other models I'm not sure of, but they have a problem with the safeties. Now you'll see here how this safety operates. It's like a pizza with 190 degrees taken out of it. And right now you can see the safety's off. See how the trigger will move? But you can't turn the safety on because the trigger, where that blue paint is, they put that on there specifically so you know where you're supposed to grind. Right there. So now we were able to swing that safety, but it was in such a bind that it's not even practical. You can't, that's not even safe, even though that it's on. I mean, it's just, you can't do that. So we took it off, and Ben got a real fine file, metal file, and we started taking it off hair by hair, like not even hair, like a couple strokes at a time. But you can see right there, it's not, the safety works fine, but like I said before, that it put the trigger in a bind and everything, and it was so hard to operate the safety that we had to, there I am just saying, take a little bit more off because it is so hard to move that safety. And that's the biggest thing, is when you do this, you can't go too far, or basically your trigger's junk, because that's where the safety rests, and if there's a gap there, the gun's gonna go off. So you gotta take your time on this. We probably tried it maybe 10 different times or so before we got to where Ben was comfortable with it. So you can see here, so right here I'm showing you how light that trigger is. Nothing was holding that barrel or anything down. It was just, it's so light, it's not even funny. And it's really nice. It's not too light, but you can see how easy it is to slide that. So the trigger worked out fine, but you just got to take your time when you're shaving that trigger to allow that safety to rotate. But so anyhow, now what we're doing is adjusting the over travel screw, and what you do is you screw that in, you pull the trigger, I'm holding tension on it and Ben is backing that out slowly, and you just keep on backing out and you'll watch right there it went off. So you stop, you tighten the jam nut with some Loctite on it, and from there on out it was basically just do everything you can to make sure that that thing's not going to go off. I did everything, and right there you see that we were pretty pleased with it. So there's nothing to it, pretty simple. Except filing that piece off, that's very important. That's the only thing that's not simple. The muzzle brake, we've seen this in my other video. Throw some Loctite on it, put it on, level it up, and screw it down tight. And that's all there is to it. We did a lot of work to that Ruger. Ben and I are probably going to go to the range here in the next couple days, and we might even take some hand loads with us. So we're really anxious to see how that thing works. Between the glass bedding and the trigger job, free floating the barrel, and those are three very easy. The trigger, you know, most of those Timney triggers cost around $100. The glass bedding kit, I'm not sure how much it was, but the link's in the description so you can check it out. And then of course, free floating the barrel is basically just shaving material away. I'll be sure to bring the camera when we go to the range. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down there, you know, for anybody who's gonna glass bed a stock, a synthetic stock, something that we may have missed, or any questions that you have. Like I said, it's very simple. Don't be afraid to do it. Just make sure that you drill those holes out so that epoxy has somewhere to go. That way it holds tight. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. See ya.